On May 16, 216 and the demon race conquered the last of human territory. The human world fell completely. Si Chen was badly injured, gasping for breath in a fiery scene. 7 years earlier, several demon kings had suddenly appeared in the world. One of them was Lan Yu. They led the demon race, overwhelming humanity with absolute power. Lan Yu sneered, "You call yourself humanity's last hope. Your entire race is worthless trash." Lan Yu continued, "Now fulfill your only remaining value. Become my food," Lan Yu said. Lan Yu then fired a blast of energy towards Si Chen. Si Chen thought of his sister, crying out, "No, my sister," and his comrades and his master. "All the people closest to me, you beasts, took their lives," Si Chen raged. "Even if it's for them." He activated his ultimate skill, Final Arc Light, determined to take Lan Yu down with him. "What's going on? I can't move!" Si Chen began to fade away along with fragments of his memories. Memories of his sister, his master, and his parents flashed before him. "Mom, Dad will meet again soon," he whispered. "If only I could have been a little stronger," he thought as he faded. Lan Yu, also being dissolved, growled, "You lowly race. Could actually. If only he could go back and find that demon lair earlier. If he could stop the first demon king, he wouldn't have lost everything so soon." Scene shift. Si Chen wakes up in a hospital bed. "I am not dead," he wondered. "Where is this? The 10 schools medical department. Wasn't the world already destroyed? Where did all these people come from?" It took a while, but he finally accepted the reality. He had returned to 10 years ago to his university days. The system announced the fusion of the gluttony power was complete. He was back before everything began. He had returned to May 16, 215. The gluttony power was fully fused. This was 3 years before the demon kings would descend. In 3 years, in 2160, or the first demon king, Wrath, would appear. It was Wrath who opened the gates of hell. The other demon kings came to the human world one by one because of him. That was the beginning of everything's destruction. He lost everything because of that, but now he was back. If he could defeat Wrath, the first demon king, he could prevent the hell gate from opening. Since he woke up, a strange panel had been floating in front of him. What are these things that look like game stats? The system showed his stats: name Chen, levels 01, all stats at 100. He had never seen such numbers before. In his past life he fought with awakened powers. Only 1 in 10,000 people could become an awakener. He attended the National Awakener University, which only accepted those with awakening potential. But in his past life he never awakened during university. For 4 years he was at the bottom of the food chain, kicked around by everyone. That was why he woke up in the infirmary. The system displayed a skill card, Lightning Assassin, with abilities like Flash God and Lightning Blade. Lightning Assassin, wasn't that his job in the past life? He sensed a power flowing within him. Had he inherited his past life abilities? He decided to test his new power. The system displayed class switching. A knock came from outside. A new character entered. Malong. Malong exclaimed, "Bro, you're awake, okay?" Si Chen replied he was fine, noticing Malong couldn't see the floating interface. Malong was amazed that Si Chen's injuries had vanished overnight, even faster than his own recovery as an awakener. Si Chen reflected that Malong was his college roommate, a bottom-tier awakener who died on the 3rd day of the demon invasion in the past life. Now he stood alive. Malong remarked that Si Chen seemed stronger. At that moment Si Chen truly felt he had come back. Malong reminded him that the grade test was tomorrow and they should go prepare. Even though Si Chen hadn't awakened, the test was crucial for graduation. Malong urged him to leave. Back on campus, Si Chen remarked he hadn't seen so many living people in a long time. Malong found his comment creepy and suggested they take the long way around the field. Si Chen thought about how he had lost everything. If he did nothing, that desperate future would return. He had to act now and quickly level up. In this era, awakeners could only level up by killing monsters in demon lairs. However, the demon lairs were monopolized by large guilds, leaving no opportunity for outsiders. Si Chen wondered how his stats compared. He recalled the government rating system as SABCDE. Most students were grade E, only a few geniuses or those with guild backgrounds reached D. He wondered what grade he would get if tested. A ball suddenly hit Malong in the face. Si Chen thought he was definitely stronger than his roommate. A group of male students called out, "Yo, if it isn't Si Chen and Malong." One of them remarked that they recovered quickly. Malong muttered that they were unlucky to run into him. The same guy continued, "He told you these two can take a beating." He demanded drinks. Malong apologized and said he'd go buy some. But Si Chen said, "It's not your fault. They are the ones who should apologize." The bully spotted Si Chen and Malong on the steps and commented that they recovered quickly. Malong muttered that it was bad luck to run into that guy again. The bully boasted that he knew those two could take a beating, and Si Chen recognized him as the same jerk. Past memories came flooding back to Si Chen. In the memory, Si Chen was being held down into a basin of water, struggling and gasping. Malong shouted for them to stop. The bully asked why they should stop, claiming he was helping. He added that Si Chen hadn't awakened yet, so they needed to stimulate him. One of the bullies commented that he fainted and they left because it was boring. Malong rushed to Si Chen and asked if he was okay. Si Chen asked why they never left them alone. Si Chen said that pure malice exists not only in demon dens, and the bully was surprised he spoke. Si Chen finished his thought, saying it also exists in the human world, but the bully said let's go mess with him more. Back in the present, the bully demanded again why they didn't bring 2 cases of drinks since they knew he was playing ball. Malong apologized and said he'd go by, but Si Chen said it wasn't his fault. Si Chen insisted that they were the ones who should apologize. Gong Cheng scoffed. Malong was confused and asked what Si Chen meant. Si Chen explained that Gong Cheng bullies because his brother is the strongest student council president. He added that Gong Cheng's own abilities were not impressive. Nearby students gossiped that Gong Cheng was about to beat them up again, calling them the weakest in school. Gong Cheng asked what Si Chen had said. Si Chen told him to leave them alone, and Gong Cheng started to threaten him. Gong Cheng said he needed a beating, but Si Chen blocked his punch. The students were shocked that Si Chen blocked the punch without being awakened. Gong Cheng cursed and demanded how a weakling without awakening dared to challenge him. Si Chen said perfect, he would use him to test, and the system announced his class switched to Electric Assassin. The system displayed the Electric Assassin class with lightning speed and abilities. Ma Long was astonished and asked when Si Chen had awakened. Gong Cheng said Si Chen must have forgotten the taste of his killing punch. Si Chen launched an attack with a loud bang. Students were amazed that Chen sent Gong Cheng flying with one punch. They wondered if it was really Si Chen and what was happening. Gong Cheng cursed and accused Si Chen of sneaking attack. Gong Cheng yelled at his friends for watching, and they stammered. Gong Cheng screamed that he would kill Si Chen. Si Chen grabbed his arm and punched him, making him scream. The punch sent Gong Cheng crashing into the wall. Ma Long was shocked, wondering when Si Chen had become so strong. He finished the thought, asking how he became that strong. Si Chen noted that he could switch to Electric Assassin whenever he wanted. He added that even LV1 his base state could handle low-level awakens, meaning his rank was above E. But he wasn't sure of his exact rank, and there was another issue. He wondered why his stats hadn't changed after defeating Gong Cheng. He trailed off thinking. Ma Long shouted for him to stop as Si Chen put an electric blade to Gong Cheng's throat. Si Chen wondered if the method of gaining experience was the same as before. Si Chen pressed the electric blade against Gong Cheng's throat, the power crackling around him. A new figure stepped in, Linju, the school student council vice president. She told him that while Gong Cheng was in the wrong, this punishment was enough for a school setting. Linju added that Gong Cheng wouldn't dare to lay a hand on them anymore. Si Chen remarked that the student council was quick to step in, but he hadn't intended to truly harm Gong Cheng. Still, he knew that if he didn't thoroughly intimidate bullies like Gong Cheng, they would never stop. Two of Gong Cheng's friends shivered, recalling Si Chen's terrifying expression. They agreed never to mess with him again, wondering if that was really the same Si Chen. But one of them scoffed, reminding the other that Si Chen and Ma Long were supposed to be the weakest and poorest students in the entire grade. Overhearing them, Si Chen repeated the words the weakest and poorest. Ma Long tried to convince anyone who would listen that Si Chen had awakened as an incredibly powerful electric assassin. Ma Long insisted that Si Chen had rubbed Gong Cheng's face in it and now the bullies were afraid. But his roommate Shang Yu asked where Si Chen had gone. Ma Long stammered that Si Chen had gone running. Shang Yu couldn't believe it. If he was that strong, why did he need to run? Didn't awakened beings need more than basic exercise? Shang Yu told him to get real, and Shang Zhu added that it seemed Ma Long's head was truly damaged from the fight. As Shang Yu reminded everyone that the four of them were stuck together because their assessment ranks were the worst in the grade, and that wasn't going to change. He boasted that he was fourth from the bottom, which made him the top of the dorm. According to Shang Yu, everyone could only awaken one class. The others were just support singers, but he was the dorm's only combat class, a nuclear mage. That was the ultimate unchangeable fact. Shang Yu dismissed Si Chen as a loser, insisting he couldn't have awakened as an electric assassin. He claimed he felt stronger lately and might even make it into a club. Shang Zhu noted that tomorrow was the last assessment before graduation, and that would clear everything up. The scene shifted to a place called the E-level training dungeon. From a crack in the dungeon, a man stepped out, Gong Ting, the student council president. Gong Ting declared that the training for the day was over. He noticed Gong Cheng waiting and spoke to him. Gong Cheng whined that if his brother didn't step in, he wouldn't sleep. Si Chen had humiliated him in public, which was a direct insult to Gong Ting's authority. Gong Ting simply replied that he understood. He assured Gong Cheng he'd take care of it. But when Linju asked how, Gong Ting said that Si Chen had simply been better in the fight. Gong Ting asked Linju if Si Chen was truly as powerful as Ma Long claimed. Linju pointed out that Gong Ting knew everyone's abilities. Fewer than 10 students had reached D rank, and they were all recruited into his club. No one else had access to the training dungeon like he did. The average awakened had no way to advance. Elsewhere, Si Chen ran through the rain, thinking that no one could match his pace. He was carrying 100 kilograms of weight and running 20 kilometers. He reasoned that basic training strengthened the physical body, and awakened's potential was directly linked to their physical strength. Only a strong body could withstand and unleash the full power of a class. But even this wasn't enough. He recalled that in the year 216, the Demon King Wrath emerged from the dungeon and slaughtered countless humans in an instant. His thoughts turned to his sister, the only family he had left. But then he shook his head, pushing the memory away. He remembered that Wrath had opened the gates of hell, letting other demon kings into the world. So his first goal was to kill Wrath, the beginning of all destruction. He had 3 years before Wrath would descend. The Demon King was developing rapidly, so Si Chen had to be even faster. His phone buzzed. It was his sister Si Chen calling. She asked why he had called so many times. She explained that she had been in a competition and her phone died, so she only just saw his missed calls. She cheerfully told him that if she won the competition, they could finally cover the rent they owed. Hearing her voice, Si Chen was overwhelmed. In the future that was destroyed, he had prayed for this a chance to do it all over again. Si Chen asked if it was raining and why he was so quiet. He thought to himself that he would give everything, even his own soul. But he only said nothing. Even if it meant falling into an abyss, it would be worth it. He told her it was just that he hadn't heard her voice in so long. She laughed and said they had just talked 2 days ago. She promised to see him after the competition and hung up. With renewed determination, Si Chen thought that everything had truly begun anew. He added 3 more laps to his run, vowing to strengthen himself as quickly as possible to protect his world. Back in the dorm, Si Chen noted that it had been 8 hours since he returned to this time. He was gradually getting used to his younger, weaker body. Though his physical strength was still low, he was younger now. It was time to focus on the most critical problem. To level up, he had to enter a dungeon. But the guilds had a monopoly on them. Except for the rich, most people had no opportunity to improve. He wondered how he could get to the monsters and what the gluttony power was. Pondering that question, he drifted off to sleep. A system began to boot up in his mind, loading until it was complete. Si Chen was pulled into the system as it announced the activation of the gluttony system. He suddenly woke up to find himself falling through the air, but he managed to land safely. A strange, ominous red landscape appeared before him. Confused, he wondered where he was. Wasn't he supposed to be sleeping? He stared at the mysterious tower and wondered what it was. Monsters burst from the ground, including a so-called Morning Flame E-rank warrior. A loading screen announced a class change, and Si Chen wondered if this was the inside of a monster lair. The class change was complete, and he became an electric assassin, though still confused. He decided to deal with the immediate trouble first. With a loud boom, a pack of monsters lunged at him. He gained 3 Morning Flame fangs from the first kills. Thinking about his current strength, he collected more fangs. He boasted that handling these E-rank monsters was more than enough. Everything felt real, not like a dream, as experience points piled up. He leveled up, still an electric assassin. Most importantly, he could gain experience and level up here. All his stats increased by 5 points. He realized he had obtained a monster lair he could solo. Another monster, a boss called Morning King, charged at him. He decided to put himself to the test right there. He leveled up again. A victory brought rewards, and he noted that the boss gave several times more experience. He quickly reached level 3, having gained 2 levels in no time. He saw the word devourable, and asked what it meant. He pondered the meaning of the gluttony power as he approached the monster. He reached out and began to absorb the monster. The absorption was complete, and the system announced the Morning Flame King. The monster was turned into a card with stats and abilities, shocking him. He realized he could kill and devour enemies, turning them into his own class. He started to say, "Isn't this the power of the Demon Lord Lin Yu?" He declared that he had seized the gluttony power originally belonging to the Demon Lord. He explained that classes were inherently unequal and unchangeable, but now he had 2 different classes. He said he possessed 2 classes simultaneously, and thought if he could devour more monsters, he could have countless classes. He wondered why he gained this power. He also questioned the demon tower behind him. He felt a powerful pressure and wondered what it was. A stranger appeared and said they had been waiting for him. The Lord called out to Si Chen. Knocked back, Si Chen thought about the government ranking system from E to S. He recalled almost dying to reach S rank in his previous life, but now he was only D rank, but his opponent was an S level boss. The level gap was huge, his stats were completely crushed. He questioned what kind of lair this was, why there was an S level monster, and why it knew his name. He had fought dozens of rounds, and the Lord had countless chances to kill him. Each attack avoided vital points, merely knocking him down. The Lord asked if he would still struggle. He realized the Lord wanted him to submit. The system prompted him to reconsider, and the Lord offered him the chance to stay and guard the tower together. Defiantly, he said he would never stay in this place. With a roar, a sword beam came at him. The Lord threatened to kill him, saying he was patient only because Si Chen was the only one who could reach this place. The Lord asked one last time while the system showed strength and stamina boosts. The Lord gave the ultimatum, stay or be crushed. Si Chen chose to kill him. The Lord laughed and launched rocks at him. Si Chen dodged the projectiles nimbly. He saw that the Lord had a 0.4-second wind up before each sword strike. He could observe the angle of the Lord's wrist and predict the path. He could avoid the blade by predicting its trajectory. He noted the 0.2-second recovery after each blow and prepared to strike in that gap, activating electric power. He aimed to pierce his heart instantly. The system described the electric blade skill, and Si Chen reasoned that even a D rank couldn't kill an S rank, but the paralysis could buy him a few seconds. He said the Lord was too fast to create distance, then activated Flash God skill to boost movement speed tenfold. Those seconds were enough to escape, and he noticed only one light source during the fight. The light vanished, and the Lord revealed it was an illusion. There was no exit, and this wasn't a monster lair. The Lord noted that Si Chen quickly found his weakness and found it interesting. The Lord praised Si Chen's composure and said he was indeed one who could bring hope, then revealed his true form, Infernal Rakshasa Star Warrior. Si Chen recognized that appearance from the Demon Lord Lin Yu. He remembered that appearance from his last battle with the Demon Lord Lin Yu in his previous life. During that fight, Lin Yu had switched through several powerful classes, and one of them he clearly recalled had looked exactly like this. It was that very form. That meant Lin Yu had been consumed by the gluttony power, and now that same power had fused into his own body. Could it be that this place was inside his own body. Not only was he tough to crack, but his mind was sharp too. He truly deserved everything here, said Hell Rakshasa. Everything here, Si Chen repeated. Hell Rakshasa had out a key, the key of time, the only key to open the demon tower. He explained that Lin Yu had devoured countless vicious demons, and the most powerful among them were all sealed inside this tower behind them. Devour them and grow stronger, Hell Rakshasa urged. Let their power become yours. The system confirmed that Si Chen had obtained the key of time. Si Chen hesitated and asked why Hell Rakshasa was doing all this, why he was helping him. Hell Rakshasa replied that even among demons there was good and evil. The demon lords had slaughtered his entire clan for their own selfish gain. He had been waiting for a chance to take revenge, and finally it had come. That guy was right, he continued. You are the only hope, the only one who can succeed. Si Chen demanded to know who that guy was. The answers are all inside that demon tower. Go find them yourself, Hell Rakshasa declared. Take my power, he added, and go take your revenge. Take your power, Si Chen was taken aback. From now on you must get stronger. Open the demon tower and consume everything inside, Hell Rakshasa insisted. The demons inside won't show you mercy like I have. They are the most cunning and evil beings in the world. But you must endure it all and overcome everything. You must stand at the top of the world, and in the end devour every last demon lord. Only someone like that, Hell Rakshasa said, was worthy of having his power. The system showed that the power was being absorbed. Loading. Si Chen's level jumped to 10 as the system announced his increase in power. Victory was achieved and he received 2 Rakshasa Hell Bones as a reward. Understood, Si Chen said. I will carry your will with me. The absorption completed. I will make them pay blood for blood, he declared. The system listed his new abilities: 100 Bones Return to Ruins, which absorbs strength from nearby corpses, and Triple Phase Calamity, which manipulates gravity in light, heavy, and super heavy forms. Morning came and a voice rang out urging everyone to wake up quickly. Shang Zhou hurried them, saying they needed to wear their school uniforms and not be late. Si Chen wondered if he was back in the dormitory. His wounds had healed completely. He questioned whether everything before had been a dream, but his system displaying his attributes showed his power had risen to 150 and his elemental force also at 150. The system seemed to prove it had all been real, and the loot from the dream had come with him. He had reached level 10 overnight. What grade did that correspond to? Shang Yu called out to Si Chen. He teased that someone had been spreading word that Si Chen had gotten strong, even threatening his position as the strongest in the dorm. Let's go. The grade assessment is about to start. Let me see what you've got, Shang Yu said. He boasted that their dorm all seemed to be E grade, but each grade had 3 tiers. They were E lower tier, while he was E middle tier, meaning he could take on 10 of them. Shang Yu explained the difference between tiers was huge, and that the current highest grade among enrolled students was. He then dismissed them, saying he could beat 10 of their kind easily. Malong chimed in, saying maybe Shang Yu's grade had increased over the past 2 years. He then told Si Chen to go all out and aim for D grade to shock him. Si Chen mused D grade hub. Everyone had arrived early for the National Awakening University grade test ceremony. They saw some thugs. Shang Yu recognized them as Gong Cheng's lackeys and suggested they keep their distance. But the thugs looked their way, startling Shang Yu. To his surprise, the thugs greeted Si Chen respectfully, calling him brother Si Chen. Shang Yu was stunned. Why were they so respectful? Malong smirked, and Shang Yu wondered if Malong had been telling the truth. A new character appeared, Jiang Di, a student council cadre. He mentioned that he heard someone had a conflict with Gong Cheng yesterday, and reminded them that Gong Cheng was the brother of the esteemed student council president Gong Cheng. Shang Yu panicked, recognizing Jiang Di as the president's lackey to D-grade powerhouse. He and Malong wondered why Jiang Di was involved with Si Chen. But the atmosphere felt off. Jiang Di claimed to have a keen sense of smell for true strength. Yet on you, he said, all I smell is the stench of a lifetime spent at the bottom. Are you a dog? What did you say? Kar, stop. I've looked into the situation and it's Gong Cheng's fault first. Making mistakes means paying the price. Yes, President. With that, Gong Ting and Jiang Di prepared to leave for the grade assessment. Attention everyone, the grade assessment will begin shortly. We'll test in order of student ID. Please come up when your name is called. Let's go. We need to get ready for the assessment. Jiang Di followed, thinking to himself that Si Chen didn't seem like a threat. 2 figures watched from above. One asked, what brings you here today? Found someone interesting. This assessment might be quite amusing, Ling Yu replied. An hour later, the next test taker was called Xiang Zuo. The crowd cheered him on. Go for it, Xiang Zuo. Let me see my true strength, he thought. The grade assessment was conducted in a special magic dungeon where testers entered alone. Inside the dungeon was a magic heart that absorbed energy. Awakeners had to unleash all their power in front of the magic heart. The magic heart then transmitted the sensed energy through cables to an external device, buzzing softly. The energy was displayed on a screen in data form. More buzzing followed. E grade mid-tier recorded, but another data point was still pending. Here it comes. Now for the real highlight. Besides the current grade, the device also measured potential, which indicated the highest grade the profession could reach in the future. Test complete. Current grade E mid-tier. Highest potential. Si Shangzuo sighed, realizing his grade had improved in 2 years. He had hoped to reach D grade. The next test taker was called. Malong tried to comfort Shangzhou, saying they were even worse. Not everyone can reach D grade, we're all in the same boat. The results showed Shangzhou at E mid-tier with C potential, while Shangyu and Malong were E low-tier with C potential. Malong doubted any D grade would appear this year. Test complete, current grade or low-tier, highest potential B. The first D grade of the year appeared. The crowd buzzed with excitement. Sometime later another test result, D grade low-tier with a potential. That's the 8th D grade already, Malong noted. The host discussed how many D grade talents had emerged this year, all low-tier but impressive for students without real combat experience. Normally only 2 or 3 graduates reach D grade, so this year's graduation exam would be interesting. Next test taker Gong Cheng. Finally it was his turn. The student council president, the son of the Imperial Guild, the chosen one with countless titles. Rumors said he had already reached D grade 2 years ago. The current highest was D low tier and the school record was D mid tier. What could he achieve? Gong Cheng approached the magic heart preparing for the test. He thought that only by revealing his full power during the graduation combat exam would he create the biggest impact. For now, he had to hold back some of his strength, but even so he would still be the best in school history. The host exclaimed at the color, grade and potential display high tier and S, D high tier, and S level top potential. The students low were shocked, exclaiming WTF. The first in school history, long live the president. Our school produced S level potential. Malong was envious. We're witnessing history. The results were confirmed to high tier and S potential. Should we report directly to the higher ups? Of course. An S level awakened was a rare treasure worldwide worth national attention and protection. And he was the prince of the Imperial Guild. This would be headline news. Gong Cheng's test results grade D high tier potential S. Another figure watching from above remarked that this year's test was full of talent. Yuan Long, the president of the National Awakened University, guessed that Ling Yu already knew Gong Cheng was S level, which was why she came to watch. Ling Yu denied it. I didn't come for him, she said. I'm more looking forward to his performance. Next test taker Si Chen. Jiang Dai yelled at Si Chen to bring glory to their dorm, warning him not to end up with E grade lower tier. He mocked that the whole dorm would be a joke with 4 E grades, calling them weaklings. Test results came in for Shangzhou at E mid, Shangyu and Malong at E low. Qiangdi sneered that they would only embarrass themselves in the graduation practical exam. Malong shot back at just you wait. He insisted that Si Chen would show them something. As Shangzhou quietly wondered if Si Chen could really pull it off. Si Chen stepped forward for the heart test, his expression intense. Si Chen explained that the best path for awakened ones was to join top guilds and the only chance to prove themselves was the graduation practical exam. He added that teams of up to 10 could be formed freely for the exam. The top team would be directly recruited by the Empire Guild, the most prestigious in the nation. But the test had another crucial purpose, Si Chen continued. Qiang Dai introduced Yan Lin, a D grade lower, boasting that their team now had all 9 D grades plus the leader's brother Gong Cheng. They were set to be first in the exam. Si Chen thought to himself that the real point was selecting teammates, which would inevitably create the strongest team. Xuangdi declared the MVP would be the leader, but Si Chen pondered that there would also be the weakest team. Si Chen mused that the strong always band together while the weak are pushed out. Meanwhile, Malong wondered how long Si Chen had been in there. Malong grumbled that there was no sound at all. Other students thought Si Chen was probably too weak to register a grade. They said the test was basically over. Qiangdi dismissed the remaining test takers as garbage and suggested going to Karak since their team was ready. Gong Cheng nodded and told them to gather the team and go. Suddenly the display for Si Chen lit up. Name is Si Chen, graded D upper, potential unknown. Malong shouted in disbelief, D grade upper. Ma Long gloated that he had been right all along. Qiangdi stammered, D grade upper. The system announced the result as D upper but detected an unstable magic heart and recommended a retest. Si Chen realized that using his normal body without a profession level 10 corresponded to D upper. The system loaded a profession switch as Sang Wang. The profession became Sang Yan Wang, a 3-star warrior. Si Chen decided to test with his weakest profession. The display flickered and changed to grade C middle. The crowd gasped. Malong exclaimed that Si Chen's grade had risen again. Qiangdi swore was bullshit, insisting something was wrong. The proctors were baffled. Why had the grade changed again? They'd never seen this. The system repeated the unstable magic heart warning and requested a retest. Si Chen figured his other profession should be above C grade. The system began loading a new profession. The switch completed. Si Chen Hell Rakshasa. Now he said it was time to test his strongest power. A massive explosion rocked the area and strange phenomena appeared in the sky. Chanda cried out in shock. Shangzhou declared that a celestial anomaly was unfolding and today would go down in history. The proctors whispered that their dorm might have produced a genius who could shake the heavens. One of them exclaimed another S potential. The display surged from S to S, then the system warned an error, potential value undetectable beyond system capacity. The proctors panicked, fearing the magic heart had overloaded. They hurried inside to check on the student. A proctor asked, "Are you alright?" Another exclaimed that the magic heart was dead. A proctor speculated that it might have been used too long. Si Chen thought to himself that he had accidentally pushed too hard and killed the magic heart, But there was an unexpected benefit. The system announced the absorption of a new magic heart Linglong, Grade A. It granted the ability to observe power levels within 100 meters and warn of threats. Si Chen realized his gluttony force could devour magic hearts. Si Chen activated his new Linglong magic heart skill. He scanned the crowd below, seeing E grades everywhere. He found it handy. Turning his gaze to Gong Cheng, he saw C middle grade, so Gong Cheng had been hiding his real power too. Si Chen muttered, C middle, just average. The proctor announced regretfully that the magic heart had died, so the test had to be suspended for today. The proctor said Si Chen's results might be erroneous and that they would report to superiors. The remaining students should come back tomorrow. Malong refused to believe it was wrong, declaring Si Chen a genius. Shangzu asked what the great man wanted to eat. Malong suggested heading back to the dorm. Chengdi lashed out, calling Si Chen a nobody who somehow got C grade in his potential, but now he'd broken the magic heart and delayed the remaining students. He demanded that Si Chen take responsibility. Si Chen thought to himself, this guy never lets up. Should I just take him out? Gong Cheng commanded Qiangdi, stand down, do not be rude to our teammate. Jiangdi was stummate. Gong Cheng extended an invitation, join my team for the graduation practical exam. Gong Cheng confidently stated that the highest score in history would be theirs. The other students buzzed with chatter. Qiangdi was furious, realizing that if Si Chen joined, someone would have to be kicked out. How could he explain this to his brothers? Joining Gong Cheng's team meant guaranteed first place in the graduation exam. So many of his buddies couldn't even get him with bribes, so what made Si Chen so special? But Gong Cheng had personally spoken. Qiangdi had to give face. Suppressing his anger, he forced himself to welcome Si Chen. Si Chen flatly refused with a single not interested. Chuangde couldn't believe it. Do you know what you're saying? Our team is the strongest in the school. But Si Chen just said it had nothing to do with him. Si Chen called him too noisy and told him to never bother him again. Si Chen turned to leave. The onlookers were stunned. He dared to turn down Gong Cheng. That's the student council president. Some guessed that Si Chen wanted to get first place on his own. After all, his test result was only C rank mid-tier. Either way, it was going to be interesting. Malong and Shangzu couldn't stop laughing. He was so arrogant up there. Si Chen's got guts. Gong Cheng just shrugged it off. No matter, it seems Si Chen has his own plans. Principal Yuan Long lamented the missed team up. He had been hoping for a new school record this year. Ling Yu thought it made things more interesting. Gong Cheng added that he'd been born with a silver spoon, so this rejection was an open challenge. Ling Yu warned that their president was no pushover. But Chuangdai sneered, saying the test must have been flawed to give Si Chen that rating. He didn't really deserve his C rank. Gong Cheng considered the possibility that the test was accurate. Even then, with only a 1 in 100 million chance, he would not let anyone take his first place. Qiangdai offered to teach Si Chen a lesson, pointing out that Si Chen was just a student without real combat experience, while they were elites who had secretly fought in dungeons many times. Gong Cheng asked if he looked like such a petty person. Qiangdai immediately backtracked, apologizing. Gong Cheng cancelled their character plans and told Qiang to entertain the team himself. Whatever Qiangdi did from now on had nothing to do with him. Qiangdi got the message loud and clear. About 10 minutes later, Qiangdi learned that Si Chen had left the school grounds. A henchman reported that he overheard Si Chen saying he was going home. He left without even eating. Qiangdi saw this as a gift from heaven. Being off campus made things easier. He could now really hurt Si Chen. Meanwhile, Si Chen walked through the streets. Si Chen recalled his past life. A top guild had an accident while raiding a dungeon in Shenyu Kingdom. They encountered an unprecedented powerful demon inside. The demon was called Wrath. The entire guild was wiped out. Wrath then left the dungeon and descended upon the human world. That was all Si Chen knew. In this new life, he had a plan to locate Wrath's dungeon as quickly as possible. But the plan required a lot of money. He entered the Mithril Monster Trading Post, an exchange under the Mithril Guild that would become the nation's largest arms market. Awakens relied on weapons and equipment to determine their strength, and this exchange was the hub for buying and selling. And right now, it was his fastest way to make money. A buyer asked a student like him where he got that item. Si Chen said it was a monster drop. The buyer had never seen one before. A pink-haired girl recognized it as a Fang of the Blazing Mourner, a drop from an E-rank cloud-type beast. She explained it could be made into E-rank cloud staff or ground into powder. The appraiser cut her off, saying E-rank items weren't worth discussing. The appraiser boasted that their exchange was for VPs, and he only dealt with D-rank items and above. It was normal for him not to recognize such a low-level item. Inside, the appraiser grumbled about the lack of high-end clients and his stalled promotion. He decided to dump this job on the newbie Xiao Li. He told Xiao Li to handle the rest, pretending to believe in her. Xiao Li paid Si Chen and asked if he needed anything else. Si Chen counted the money, 18,000 for the Fang. That should cover the rent for now. He then produced another item. He asked Xiao Li to appraise this too. Xiao Li gasped at the magnificent greatsword. She had never seen such a thing. She guessed it was at least B rank, maybe even A rank. The appraiser scoffed at the idea of an A rank weapon. They cost nearly $1 million, and he had never handled one in all his years. A newcomer agreed, saying it wasn't B or A. The shopkeeper revealed that it was actually an S rank weapon from the abyss. The staff were stunned. The shopkeeper welcomed Si Chen as an honored guest. He invited Si Chen to the VIP room and told him to ask for anything. Si Chen thought to himself, finally, you showed up. This was Qingji, the owner of the Mithril Guild. Qingji asked Si Chen what he planned to do with the equipment. Si Chen named his price of 1 million. Qingji was taken aback. He pointed out that A-grade equipment typically sold for millions, and this S-grade weapon was worth tens of millions, if not more, with buyers clamoring for it. Si Chen explained he wanted to use the S-grade weapon as collateral for a 1 million loan to be repaid in full within a month. Qingji thought to himself, only a college student could come up with such a scheme. Qingji speculated that Si Chen intended to keep the weapon for his own use. He marveled at the young man's composure and prized possession, wondering if he was a runaway hero or a hidden prodigy. One thing was certain, Si Chen was no ordinary student. Si Chen promised to repay the loan in 1 month and would add 10% interest on top. Qingji sent his assistant Shala out of the room and leaned in. If I'm not mistaken, he began. You attend the National Awakened University, and you're a senior about to graduate, Qingji said. He continued explaining that the annual graduation combat exam was scheduled exactly 1 month from now, and the prize for first place was exactly 1 million, matching Si Chen's loan repayment perfectly. I'll venture a guess, Qingji said. You're confident you'll take first place, aren't you? Qingji reasoned that if Si Chen could wait a month for the prize, he wouldn't be mortgaging his weapon now. He must be in urgent need of the money, and this was his last resort. Qingji made a counteroffer. He would give Si Chen 1.5 million in cash immediately, with 0 interest for 1 month. Consider it a gesture of friendship, Qingji said, extending his hand. You can trust me to keep everything confidential, Qingji assured him. But if you have future deals, please consider our exchange first. I'll give you the best rates. Si Chen was impressed. From just a few hints, Qingji had figured out his situation and motives. Instead of exploiting his urgency, he had offered better terms to build a long-term partnership. No wonder Si Chen thought that in the future, Qingji would turn the Mithril Exchange into the world's leading trading hub. Si Chen knew he couldn't defeat the outrage by himself. He needed to find trustworthy allies. The handshake sealed their agreement. The magic contract is complete. The money is in your account, Qingji announced, and a notification chime. By the way, Qingji added, you've mortgaged your best weapon. What will you use for the exam? I can lend you some equipment if you need. Qingji mentioned they had plenty of B and even A grade gear, but Si Chen politely declined. No need, he said. I have another weapon just like that one, Si Chen said calmly. Qingji's eyes widened in disbelief. What the? He exclaimed. Qingji quickly composed himself and said, truly heroes come from the young. Please take care, honored guest. He watched Si Chen leave. Thanks to Xiao Li for keeping this guest, Qingji said to himself. I'll promote him to supervisor right away. Just as he was leaving, Si Chen turned back. Oh, by the way, I want to buy something. Si Chen stepped out of a taxi in front of the Gong County long-distance bus station. In his previous life, Si Chen recalled, money had been a constant source of worry. Back then, he had just graduated and hadn't awakened. No guild would take him. He worked every odd job he could find to scrape together the rent, and he was always just barely making it. After paying the rent, their account balance was nearly empty. We're out of money again this month, Si Chen lamented. But his sister Si Chen tried to cheer him up. It's okay, brother. I found a tutoring job. Si Chen had been accepted to the International Central Art Academy, but she hesitated. It's too far away. I just want to stay with you, brother, she said. She had given up her dream school to avoid burdening the family. Si Chen glanced at his phone. It was getting late. Si Chen should have already arrived at the station. Brother, Si Chen's voice rang out. How many times do I have to tell you? You're supposed to wait at the exit, not the entrance. Are you spacing out again? Si Chen's mind went blank. 7 years. It had been 7 years. Then Si Chen tugged at his sleeve. Brother, can you at least help with the luggage? Brother, why are you just standing there? Si Chen asked, puzzled. Without a word, Si Chen pulled Si Chen into a tight embrace. 7 years, Si Chen. I finally see you again, Si Chen. Brother. Si Chen murmured. Are you trying to strangle me? Si Chen laughed. You've been acting weird these past 2 days. Did you get rejected by some girl? No, nothing like that, Si Chen mumbled. Then let's go. Home, Si Chen said, pulling him along. Oh, and you won't believe what happened on the way to the exam. Let me tell you. Si Chen said, let me help you. Si Chen nodded, but in his mind he vowed, I will never let you suffer again. Meanwhile, a group of strangers gathered on a street. This is the road Si Chen has to take to get home, one of them said. Ambush him, ordered a man named Kwang Flute. The moment he shows his face, jump him. I'll make him pay for challenging me, Chiang Flute growled. A subordinate nervously asked Chiang Flute if they might hurt Si Chen too badly since so many of them had shown up. Chiang Flute growled that he had only planned to teach the kid a lesson, but Si Chen's attitude had pissed him off. He sneered about a lowly E-class brat daring to cross him. He ordered his men to beat Si Chen to a pulp, vowing to make sure he couldn't take the graduation exam in 2 weeks. Calling himself the top cloud assassin in the entire school, Chiang Flute promised that Si Chen would regret showing off. Meanwhile, Si Chen's sister Si Chen asked if he was acting strange because of the pressure from the graduation exams. She teased that he wasn't the type to be troubled by feelings, being such a straightforward guy. But she encouraged him anyway, reminding him that he always told her life was long and opportunities would come. She started humming a song as they walked, trying to remember the lyrics. Si Chen thought to himself how perceptive his sister was to notice something different about him right away. She still had no idea he had awakened and probably thought they were still living the same struggling life as before. He insisted he was fine, but Si Chen smirked, wondering if it was just male pride talking. She quoted a book, saying that men start building walls around themselves as they get older, teasing that her brother must be aging. One of Qiang Flute's men noticed Si Chen wasn't alone, but Qiang Flute smirked, saying that was even better since the alley had no cameras. Si Chen sensed the student council members nearby, recognizing their presence. He muttered that they actually dared to come after him here. Turning to his sister, he offered to share a song he'd been listening to on repeat, saying she should listen too. Si Chen blinked in surprise, asking when her brother had gotten into music. She agreed, saying music could convey a person's feelings. She smiled and said she'd love to understand her big brother better. Qiang Flu and his men advanced towards Si Chen. The students rushed at Si Chen all at once. Si Chen thought back to the year 2160 in his previous life when he lost his last family member and how he was reborn in 2167, finally seeing his sister again. This was his first family reunion in 7 years. He rode in fury, demanding to know how they dared to destroy it, and kicked one of his attackers flying. With a thunderous punch, Si Chen took a fighting stance. He used his speed to dash from one enemy to the next, landing blows on each. Another thug charged at him. Si Chen grabbed his arm and broke it, making the man cry out in pain. He followed up with another punch to the same man's face. Qiang Flute stared in disbelief, cursing and wondering what was going on with this kid. He couldn't understand how Si Chen could be so strong. Si Chen punched through the remaining thugs and closed in on Qiang Flute. Qiang Flute insisted he was a top-tier cloud assassin and screamed at Si Chen. He couldn't believe he was losing. Si Chen rained punch after punch into Qiang Flute's face. Qiang Flute was sent crashing into the wall and collapsed motionless. Si Chen stood over him and said coldly that he had already told him not to bother him. He asked if the man couldn't understand human language.